day and hello everyone. Welcome to my newest playlist, The Locomotion. So what is this channel about? Okay, let's start with my visit to the mall with Valley South Key down here in Johor Bahru. We went around pointlessly, just enjoying the air conditioning inside there, and coincidentally we came across this new outlet which is called the Object. So we went in, and I tell you, the prices in there are very reasonable, in spite of their building being inside of this high-class shopping mall, the best in Johor Bahru. Okay, they have a lot of those kitchenwares and also toys. So I came across, oh wait a minute, I'm gonna tell you why I want to start this playlist of mine. When I was small, I was very fascinated with train models, you know, those complicated trains that has their own rails, and they can being a conductor and control all of the trains, all of them being on their own rails. They can divert them to different rails, and they can switch on and off, stop and let them move whenever they want with a controller. So it was like something that I was fascinated about, that I fantasized about it. But when I was small, you know, we don't have much money to throw around, and those proper train models are not cheap, you know. So back to the story. When I went to the Object outlet in the mall Mid Valley, in the toy department, toy section, I found this thing. You know, it is a train toy. Yes, let me repeat that. It's a train toy. But I did came across a lot of train toys before. But why do I choose, when I look at this, when I lay my eyes on the first time that I saw this, I was fascinated with it, and I thought that this is going to be the start of my train model hobby. Why? Okay, let's see first. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it first, right? It's called the Classic Train, and it costs only 1990, 19 ringgit and 90 cents, about 10 cents shy of 20 ringgits. You know, you can do the math. If you convert it to USD, it's so cheap, right? And it is battery operated, and it has a 13-piece configuration inside, all of the things inside there, and it runs on battery. And yeah, let's do the opening and unboxing, and I will tell you furthermore. Okay, back to the question, why am I fascinated with this? Okay, most of the times before, when I came across train toys, I was not interested in it, because the proportion of the size is ridiculous, you know. Sometimes it has a big body but with a small wheel, with small wheels. Some of the train toys that I have encountered before, the wheels are too big, but the body of the train or the locomotive is too small, you know, it doesn't look realistic. But for this one, especially for the locomotive car, it does look realistic, you know. It's like an American design train, you know, with this shield in front. Is that what you call it? A shield, where it glides in front of the locomotive, and in case that there's a timber or lumber or stones or boulders on the rails, it can just deflect it to the side, and the locomotive and the whole train can move safely, right? And then look at that, the proportion of the cabin and the I guess that's the bell, and that's where the smoke comes out when the chamber, the boiling chamber, is operating, right? It has holes in there. Probably Yeah, I have plans for that. I'm gonna tell you in a while. And yeah, look at that. That's a proper train locomotive. If you just like cosmetically modify it and a little bit of paint, it will look realistic. You see, right? And as for the rails, right? It does look realistic. You see, I mean all of the I'm not much familiar yet with the terminologies of the train models, but I would like to call this the planks, right? The planks that has been laid on the rail, it does protrude to both sides of the rail, so it does look realistic. You see, right? Right there. Okay, it has these parts over here, like two of these semicircles and one of this semicircle that has a rail, the rail, or what you call it. I'm gonna study more about the terminology of train models now that I'm into the hobby. Right? And then it has these straight rails, four of them. 2 and 3 and 4, right? So, oh yeah, sorry about that. I'm gonna come back to the locomotive, right? So, how does it operates when you open it up? You know, with both sides of the clipper, right, on the each side of the locomotive. You can just slide it off the shell, and this is where it all happens when we talk about the movements of the locomotive. You have the motor inside there. I guess that's a 1.5 volt motor, and it has gears inside there, because as you know, the motor does spins quite fast, so it reduces the speed of the wheel turning by means of these reducer gears. I guess that's what they call it, right? And it uses a AA battery that you slot in there, and that is the on-off switch, the power switch, right? Okay, now the problem with this train toy is that it does comes with these three cars, right? This is the transportation car that it has some elephants on it and some clowns and mahuti. Is that what you call the elephant riders and trainers? Mahut? I think Mahut, right? So I guess this car is meant to be transporting circus animals. Okay, and it has this smaller car that delivers or holds the coal, because as you know, these kinds of locomotive, it is powered by steam, by hot water steam, and it is powered by charcoal. So these are the cars that is meant to bring the charcoal along. And it has this one more car which looks nice actually, because it's not like so boring. It's a rectangular box like this one. This has some sort of like a very interesting shape to it, and I guess you see it has holes on the windows, which makes it looks more realistic. Even on the sides, it has windows that really has holes in them, and the top part there, where I guess what their plan is to put the giraffes there, because this car transports the animals, the circus animals. So I guess this is also for transporting the animals, and this tallest part over here is to transport the giraffe. Okay, now back to my statement that what I'm disappointed with this train toy, even though I cannot be so much disappointed because of the price. Come on, just 20 ringgits, which is about not even $3 US, right? And you can get all of this. Now, let's talk about this car then, right? Let's put back the shell of the locomotive back to its motor and the wheels. So, I imagine if this is the locomotive, and I imagine that the engineers or the human that is going to operate this locomotive should be like that size, right? In comparison and in proportion to the locomotive itself. Okay, let's take that as the planned size of the humans that I'm going to put on this train, right there, about 10 or 12 millimeters, right? Okay, let's put this locomotive away and take this 12 millimeters size, 12 millimeter tall human in comparison with this. You see, the car is too small to fit a human which is about 12 millimeters tall. So it has to be like that high of the car. You see, this is too small to suit a locomotive this size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shell off and use just the wheels and the frame, the main frame, the chassis of the car, and build a new car on top of that. So I'm going to just take away this purple part of the shell, right? But the thing is, if I build a car that high and this short to suit the chassis and the wheel, you call it a wheelbase, right? Wheelbase doesn't suit. So with that high of a car, like so, I guess the most suitable length of the car is about that size over there, like that, not like so. So with that length of a car, you need a longer chassis with that wheelbase, right? So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these two shells off, and I'm going to just use the chassis with the wheels and make it into a pivoting wheels on the same one car, right? So this two is going to be one car. This is going to be the locomotive, the power, the main power to move the train. And this, I guess, its destiny is going to be the same as these two cars. It's going to be ripped off of its chassis, and I'm going to build a new cover or a new body on top of that, right? So firstly, we are going to test the movement of this locomotive. So firstly, we got to take off again the shell and insert this AA battery right there, making sure that the connectors are, touching both polarities of the battery, like so. And let's try it out. Let's try to move the wheels using the power switch, the on-off switch over here, which you just pull back. There it is. It's moving, right? Quite fast. And this is how you switch it off. Okay, and you put back. Oops. You just assemble back the shells and you are ready to go. But to make this go, you have to assemble the railings first, right? Okay, so I did read the instructions on the box, and roughly it's going to be like so. Okay, with this all, yeah, this goes there, and this one goes here, like so. Let's see. Let's put it closer to me so that it's a little bit farther from you, so that you can have a clearer view of the whole layout of it. Okay, so how do you connect all of these parts together? You can see it comes with a built-in latch, which you just snap it in like so, making sure that you don't snap, you don't snap it off, you don't break it. So I discovered that what you do is you just make a V out of it, and then you put it in like so. There you go, one part. So it just takes a couple of minutes to install all of this, and like so. Put this on, that, and a couple more parts to go in, and there you go, you're off. That is the layout that you can put your locomotive on. Okay, so what you do is you just switch this on, and then just, oops, it's much difficult to switch it on while put it on the rails while the wheels are spinning. So what you do is you put it properly on the rail, right, and then you switch it on. There you go, right, and it moves. Yay! So if you want to use this smaller section of the rail, okay, let's take this off first. Alright, and it's supposed to be this direction. Okay, so it goes like so. But once you flick this switcher over here, the derailleur, you know that it's going to do that. It's going to use the smaller radius of the circle. It got derailed. Well, you can't expect much from a train toy, but that is where my imagination comes in. So my plan is to have, instead of this powering this locomotive with this on a switch on the locomotive itself, I am going to make it like a proper train set, which is I'm going to use my own motor, DC motor speed controller, which I bought online. So what it does is, as you can see, it has a knob that you can control the power that goes to the motor, right? And by doing that, I can control the speed of how the train goes, and also I can make it move, or I can make it stop. And it moves from one station, for instance, and stop at the other station, or stop at the same station, whatever I want to do. So that's what I'm going to use instead of buying those expensive speed controller that is really sold for controlling train models, right? Now, how do I do that? Because the battery is inside here. If I do not need this on-off switch, then I do not need the battery, right? I do not need that. Now, how do I transfer the power from the speed controller on to the locomotive, right? How do I do that? So I figured out that this is what I'm going to do. I bought this couple of these copper wire from Daiso, right? You can find it in any Daiso. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this copper wire all along the rails, right? One copper wire on each side of the rails, and for instance, if I put it on top over there, right? So it will, through wires that is connected to this speed controller, and the power comes from a DC power adapter which delivers 5 volts, right, maximum. Then the power from that goes into this speed controller, and the output will go like 2 wires, positive and negative, down on both sides of the copper wire that is installed on the rails on both sides of it, right? So when I do this, when I press it on, it will power the train will move, and when I press it again, it will stop. That is my plan, right? So you can control the speed of it via the knob, like so, slow and fast, right? If it's bringing a lot of loads, I need more power on it, I just crank it up and it will move. Like if I want to just put a stone or a rock on one of the cars, that's what I'm going to do. So that is the plan, right? But firstly, before doing that, what I need, and most train model enthusiasts do, is to have a base where you can put this on, right? And this is what I'm going to use, a board. This is a 6mm board. It's very versatile, that I can cut it into size, and also if I want to install the rails on the board, it's going to be easy because it is so much flexible. It's stiff, it's solid, but for me to, for instance, drill a hole in there, it's going to be easier than using real wood, which is too much actually if you use a real wood. So this is called the medium density fiber board. Okay, and this costs about, if I'm not mistaken, 35 ringgit. It's much more expensive than this set of the train toy, right? Okay, now why did I bought such a big board like so when my rail is just that small? Okay, I will tell you why, right? The reason is that I have a bigger plan for this, which is when I'm done with designing how I'm going to transfer the power from the power adapter to the rail tracks via the speed controller and the copper wires, and to make the locomotive move, I'm going to make it a bigger environment with more rails, and that is why I bought not only 1 but 2 and 3 and 4 sets of this. So I'm going to have more cars, more locomotives, more rails, rail tracks, and life is going to be so much happier for my free time and also for my interest in train models, and also for your interest to stay tuned in my playlist, right? This playlist again is called the locomotion. So it's going to be evolving into from this into permanently putting on the rail tracks on the board, and how do I power it, and also how do I modify the cars to suit this locomotive size, and how do I make it realistic. All of that will be featured in this playlist of mine. It's going to be so much fun, but of course, okay, when I've discovered next step, when I've discovered how to transfer the power from the adapter to the track using this speed controller, I'm going to make that into the second episode of this locomotion playlist. Alright, and for that, alright, I would like to thank you for tuning in, and I will definitely see you in the next one. I'll see you. Bye bye.